Welcome to your on-demand webinar for Learning Lab Live. And this is week 8 of our sort of sessions. It's the final week, and this is all sitting around tools and support to you as the advisor. So I'm just going to share my screen with you for the final presentation within the series. So there won't be a lot of PowerPoint within this at all, because a lot of this will be demonstrating tools online that can help support you and your customers. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Rachel Flanagan, and I am one of the national sales managers based in the south of the country, and have been supporting this series of webinars over the last 8 weeks. So let's have a look at some of our online tools. That we've got some tools that have been on the site for a little while, some that are particularly popular. So we're going to cover off some of these today. So first and foremost, we'll be looking at certainly the maximum loan to value tool. Okay, and we've actually got our tailored enhanced loan to value tool as well. So they kind of sit hand in hand together. We've also got our retained equity and repayments calculator and our lending criteria tool as well. There will be some other things that we're also going to explore for you. So first and foremost, we're going to have a look at our tailored enhanced and maximum loan to value tools. So bear with me, and I'm going to switch screens to be able to demonstrate this to you. So here we are. This is our website. Okay, so this is the entry page that will come into on moretolife.co.uk, and then what we've got across the top here is a banner, obviously a number of banners with a number of options that you can sort of see. And if you click on technology, you've got our tools, and there are a number of them within the drop-down range. So the first one I want to have a look at is our maximum loan to value tool. So what you'll see here is it's a very, very simple calculator that will basically allow you to look at what borrowing options are available for your customer. So in the first instance, you've got a sliding tool, okay, here on the left and the right, okay, so it moves up and down, and you can choose the age of the customer. You then simply just input the property's value, okay, so 550,000, and what that will then tell you on the right hand side is basically how much roughly the client can borrow on each of our products. Okay, so you'll see here anything in green, okay, that will come up, and obviously with the percentages, and it will give you on the right hand side the maximum loan to value that they can actually borrow. And then on our tailored enhanced range, okay, it will show you here, actually this is at maximum borrowing 50.5% based on the age, 277,750. Now if we move the bar right the way across, okay, so basically, and we'll take that to age 87, what you'll see is a number of changes then happen. So we've got 4 products that are sitting in red, okay, and 2 of them that are in green, and it's just because we've increased the age beyond the maximum entry age for that particular client. So we can see in this instance that an 87-year-old with a £550,000 house can only really look to borrow on maxi or capital because of the age range that is there for them. So that's the first tool. It's really, really simple. And then if you wanted to go on and think, actually, that's fine, I want to create an illustration on capital, then you could click on this button here, create KFI, and that would actually take you to our login and FastPath page. So that's the first sort of set of the maximum loan to value calculators. Very simple tool to use, just to give you a rough idea of really what that client can actually borrow, just as a quick snapshot. Then hand in hand with that will sit the tailored enhanced loan to value tool. So again, we've got the age bar here, okay, and this works on a sliding scale. So again, let's say that the client is aged 72, we'll change the property value, okay, again to 550,000. And what that will actually tell us, okay, is depending on sort of really how healthy the customer is, will depend on how much that they can borrow. So they could borrow in this instance anywhere from £233,200 up to £277,750. Now, how do we understand sort of, really what this would make the difference of £44,500? So there are 13 medical questions that you would answer. If you go onto our FastPath system, then those questions are built into the system. Okay, and what that will allow you to do is it will allow the system to come back once you've answered those 13 questions. They're quite simple. The first 2 are height and weight, the second 2 are around smoking, and there's 8 that are around medical questions and 1 about whether you've retired early due to ill health. Okay, once they come back, okay, that will actually sort of apply loading, and the API will then return to you how much the customer could borrow. So on this particular product, what you've got is the ability to be able to borrow more depending on how impaired your health is. And remember that if you have a joint application, okay, always answer the medical questions for the older applicant as well, okay, because if they do have an impaired health rating, that will affect the amount that they can borrow. So you've got this tool on here as well, but like I said, by answering the 13 questions, this is going to give you an idea. The 13 questions will give you a very specific amount that they can borrow based on their medical history. So it's another great tool to work with at a glance. Okay. And then, okay, from there on in, we've also got the lending criteria tool. Okay, so this one's really handy, and you've got 2 ways of working with this particular tool. So the first one is you can run a quick check, and you can say, actually, is what I need on this list here? Okay, so actually it is. So what I need to know is I need to know about flooding and flood zones, okay, because there's a river that's quite close to this particular property. What that will then do is that will basically give you the options of what is available on each particular product. Okay, so Flexi works very, very differently when it comes to flood score, because actually that works on an ambiental flood score, which is on a percentage basis. Okay, everything else actually works from the government sort of flood zone agency that's online. Okay, so you can get that information. So it is all very, very different per product, remember, because each of our funders have very different lending criteria. So that's as an example there, or perhaps it's around septic tanks. Okay, then obviously what you can see here is the criteria that is actually available on the septic tank side of things. So it's a really sort of, handy tool to be able to quickly just come in and check what would be available. Now, the other way of working is if you have a very specific property, bit more detailed, that you might want to know, well, actually, I know it's not an ex-local authority, so we'll take that off. We know it's not in a flood zone. There's not a massive amount of acreage. It's not next to any commercial property, but property details might well be an issue. It could well be the location. We need to put the value in, and there's also a septic tank. But what we've also got on this one is, okay, we've got a lodger that's actually in the property as well. And let's also say that basically there is some adverse credit that's there. So we just need to know what we can borrow. So it will then ask you a subset of questions. So it's intuitive to the questions that you answer on the first page. So we know that this is a detached house. Okay, we're going to say it's worth £900,000. Okay. What is the tenure of the property? Well, we know it's freehold. Okay, it's located in England. Okay, and what type of adverse credit? Well, there's a CCJ. We know that that's there. We also know that there's a lodger, and then it asks you if the septic tank is private or shared. So for the purposes of this, we're just going to say private, and then it's going to show the eligibility. So what you've actually got here, based on this set of information, we know that capital choice and tailored choice would certainly look to lend. Okay, and then what you've got is you've got Flexi Choice and Apex that are sitting in amber. So that means that actually they may lend, but what we might need to do is give you some just extra details on that one to cover that off. And Maxi is out of the picture, so we won't lend on that at all. And what you can do here is, if you're really looking for Flexi, you're looking for Apex in this situation, you can drop us an email to info@more2life.co.uk. That will will go into part of our underwriting team, and they will assess your case from there on in. Okay, so this is a nice little tool. Again, just have a very quick check. It doesn't cover 100% of scenarios because it would be physically impossible to do so. Sometimes we get some very, very quirky sort of instances, but call us or email the info address for that particular one as well. So that's our lending criteria tool. So the next one I want to show you is our retained equity and repayments calculator. So on this particular sort of tool, this has been really, really handy in the past. Okay, so you can see we've got these boxes here, and these are slightly grayed out, so until we've completed them, then it won't actually sort of give us the information that we need. So we're going to start, okay, and you've got a quick search or you've got a personalized search. So the personalized search will allow you to basically put your own logo on the paperwork of the book, because you can print all of this off and give this to the customer. So we're not going to do that for today's exercise. So we're going to have a look at a quick search. So we know that the client is currently aged 68 years old, okay? And let's say, for example, that their property is £550,000, and let's say that this is a single life. So we're going to start. Okay, it will basically give you an idea of how much that they can borrow on the top here, up to 187,000. Okay, now one thing to be aware of here is we're going to be removing this from the calculator. So actually, if you've been told previously on one of the other calculators that they can borrow 192, that's absolutely fine. Just keep going with it. So it will override, okay, what is there. So in this particular instance, the client actually wants to borrow 100,000, okay? And we know that the rate on that particular loan at the moment is coming in at 6.8%. And then it's going to ask you, what, okay, do you think future house prices will do? Okay, so what is HPI going to run at? And I'm going to say that that's going to run at 3.25%. Obviously, nobody has a crystal ball. None of us actually know per se. So we'll move on, okay, to the next page. It will then ask you, okay, and say, well, actually, you could pay sort of, 567 pounds, okay, per month, okay, to 833 pounds, really, without incurring any interest, depending on what your product is and so on and so forth. Now, in this instance, just to demonstrate to you, okay, I'm actually going to say we're going to pay a custom amount on this, and that custom amount is going to be nil, and I will come back to why in a second. But if you know that the client wants to pay £100 a month or has the means to do so, or they want to pay £1,200 yearly, then you can put this monthly or yearly, okay? You can also add other repayment periods in as well. But for the purpose and the time being, we're going to say they're not actually going to pay anything, because I just want to show you how the graph changes. This is about drawing down funds, and this can be useful if there's a drawdown in place. Perhaps somebody's got a wedding coming up that they want to pay for, or sort of something is happening, they're going to go on that all-world cruise, and actually they want to draw down some money, so you can build that in as well. And then what we'll see is the results, okay? So basically what you've got in here is the future house price value on the top line, okay? And this bottom line is going to say the same, because we haven't put any payments in at the moment. And basically that will sort of show you sort of how that will work. And in terms of numerical purposes, at the bottom of this, we've got this grid down here, which gives you 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25 years. And that will show you basically what the property value would be assumed on the HPI we put in, the amount actually owed without making any repayments, the amount owed with making repayments, the remaining equity, okay, without making payments, the remaining equity with. Now, these two columns will remain the same because we haven't put any payments in at the moment. So what it's saying is after 25 years, there would be £678,000 of equity left in. But let's go back and say, actually, we want to edit this, okay? And what we want to do is, so drawdown is on the left here and payments are on the right, okay? So in year one, okay, they're going to pay £100 a month, okay? And they're going to also do that in year two. And in year three, they're going to do that again. Then in year four, they're only going to pay half of that. So they're going to pay £50 a month, okay? And they're going to do that, okay, for a 5-year period in total. But actually what's going to happen is in year 10, they want to draw down £10,000 for something that they've got to pay for. So you can put that in there. scroll to the bottom, click submit, okay, and then it will rerun the graph for you. Now, it hasn't sort of made too much of a difference here, but you can see the difference in the lines, and it will break it down if you hover over that. So basically, partial repayments of retained equity at 14 years, okay, so you've got 599,887, 589,656, and you can see the difference here in the equity, okay, that would be here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to edit that data. I'm going to take out that £10,000 that's there, okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, just to be able to show you in a bit more sort of detail, okay, so I'm going to make £3,000 there, £3,000 there, £3,000 there, and the remaining months that's still £600. So, and you can see again, that's where the line and the growth comes apart. So depending on how much the client is actually sort of really wanting to pay off on a monthly basis or an annual basis, but this can be a really sort of handy sort of chart, and you can print this report out and you can give it to your customer. So that's our retained equity and repayments calculator. The other thing I want to draw your attention to in this particular sort of section is basically our online redemption form. Okay, now we get a lot of emails all the time that are basically asking us around about this form in terms of, well, actually, I need to get a redemption figure for my customer. Okay, and quite often people will email customer services, which is what used to happen. Okay, now you can complete this form. It's a very, very easy form to complete and fill in. You can also select additional information. So if you wanted all of these to say yes, it's fine. You can just click that toggle over and that would switch that on. But if you only want certain amounts, then you can go in and say, yes, I want that, okay, etc., etc. So there's certain things, if you just want very specific things, then basically you can add that in. You would then submit your inquiry through. Now, what I would say to you is that these should come back to you within 48 hours, okay, with your redemption figure. It is a process that's run by robots, okay, and occasionally something will kind of come in and trip the case up, which means we can't give you the information. If you have not had a response back, okay, after 48 hours, please contact one of the members of the team, and what we'll be able to do is look into what the issue is and actually get you your redemption statement out. So that doesn't happen terribly often, but it does happen from time to time. Now, we've also got on a further sort of tab further along is our learning lab, okay? So within the learning lab here, what we've actually got is a number of tabs around marketing, working with us, knowledge, etc. And you can gain a whole load of information from it within here. There's presentations that are in here as well that obviously carry sort of CPD certificates. So you can see obviously there's 2 pages on the first one there. So, you know, this is about sort of helping you and your business, okay? We've got some other sort of additional things here in the working with us sort of section. So you've got advisor guides that are on there. The medical questions are on there as well. So if you're keen to know actually what questions we're going to ask, then actually you can sort of bring that into play. There's a flexi drawdown help sheet there as well as to sort of, you know, really how that works. So there's a lot of information that's there. What I will do is basically sort of just bring you back to marketing. And one of the things that, you know, is worthy of looking at is this, which is registering for our More to Life Marketing Hub. Okay, so you can download this. Okay, you can create yourself a login. Okay, and this is whereby you can you can actually order some leaflets that we pay for. Okay, you can also add your logo to some of those as well. Now, obviously, it's not an infinite supply of them. And if you are sitting with a network, then obviously you would have to get authority from the network in the first instance that they were okay, basically, and they were approving that sort of for you. Now, we are currently working within the marketing suite here to develop this even further. So just watch that space. So what we've actually got is the 10-day fast path promise. Okay, so this is running until the end of September, and basically if you have any case, okay, that you submit and that comes into us at More to Life, we don't get your offer out within 10 working days, then what we will do is pay your client a sum of money at completion by way of an apology. Now, what I would say is there are T's and C's to this. If the client chooses to delay perhaps their evaluation, because going on holiday for 2 weeks, it won't qualify. If there are queries on the title, there's complex queries on the title, again, it won't qualify. So read the T's and C's basically on that particular one. And that about brings me to the end of our presentation. So thank you very much for attending the series here at Learning Lab Live. And it's been great to see you all. And as soon as we have the next set of series available, then obviously what we will be doing is, we'll be advertising those out through social media and through email. If you do have any questions in the meantime, then please do give us a call. We're very much here to support you, to help you and your customers and your business grow. Thank you for your time, and do keep well.